When Sean-woo was young, she was a rising star in Taekwondo, but her life took a drastic turn because of one match, all because her coach told her to lose in the finals. Her opponent wasn't as skilled, but she had a chairman father who desperately needed this championship title to get her into her dream university. The coach told Seon-woo that if she could put on a good show during the match, she wouldn't just receive a generous thank you payment, but would also gain the chairman's backing, guaranteeing her endless matches and trophies once she joined the professional team. Although she was extremely unwilling, the coach was watching from the sidelines, so Seon-woo had no choice but to hold back while controlling the pace, making the fight look fierce on the surface. In the end, she deliberately left an opening and allowed her opponent to land a perfect strike, planning to admit defeat when the referee started counting, but the spoiled rich girl just had to open her mouth and taunt her in that moment, humiliating her in front of everyone. Already feeling wronged, Seon-woo's fighting spirit instantly reignited. But that move offended the wrong people, and her career in Taekwondo came to an abrupt end. To make things worse, the rich girl called in 3 friends to corner Seon-woo in the locker room to teach her a lesson. No one knows where they found the courage, but 4 rookie fighters arrogantly tried to humiliate her, with one of them throwing the first punch.
어쩔 건데?
다 나와, 이 개새끼들아! 어서요!
야, 똑바로 잡고 있어. 빨리.
It was a classic case of talking big and taking the hardest hits. The 3 friends didn't even last a full minute before they were knocked out. Watching Seon-woo unleash like a tiger out of its cage, the rich girl pressed herself against the wall, too afraid to breathe. After leaving the Taekwondo world, Seon-woo worked multiple jobs every day to earn enough money for her paralyzed mother's medical bills. One day, she dropped off a van full of kids at a tutoring center, only to find them secretly taking pictures of her and asking if she had run someone over with her car. Seon-woo was baffled, but she had no idea those photos would soon land her an unexpected big job. After work, a man named Tae-wong approached her, introducing himself as an executive director of Pan & Construction. He explained that her photo had been posted on an overseas social media platform with the caption, Han Ji-yeon, granddaughter of Pan & Construction's chairman, all thanks to those mischievous kids.
죄송해요. 우리 학원 애들이 장난친 것 같은데 바로 지우라고 할게요.
아닙니다. 그쪽은 저희가 이미 조치했습니다. 잠시 조용한 데서 대화 좀 나누고 싶은데.
A month earlier, a hit-and-run in Gyeongju had left 2 people dead, and the suspect had vanished. Just days ago, an overseas blogger claimed that the suspect was none other than Han Ji-yeon, the chairman's legitimate granddaughter, and the news caused a huge uproar in Korea. The Seoul prosecutors announced they had obtained the whistleblower's video and summoned Han Ji-yeon for questioning. Soon after, more scandals surfaced about her alleged use of banned substances, sending the old chairman into a furious rage. He didn't care how much the company's stock price fell, but he would never allow his granddaughter's name to be tarnished. Yet 2 lives had been lost, and the matter could not be buried. Forced into a corner, the chairman ordered Tae-wong to handle the crisis entirely and to track down the source of the video. Tae-wong knew exactly what kind of person Ji-yeon was, but he had no choice but to obey the old boss. While feeling the pressure, he stumbled upon Seon-woo's photo online and was stunned to find she looked almost identical to Ji-yeon, at least 90% alike. He explained, Ji-yeon is shy and afraid of the media, but she must fly back to Seoul to appear at the prosecutor's office. If she gets surrounded by reporters and influencers at the airport, her chronic illness could flare up. We want you to impersonate Ji-yeon, walk openly into the airport to draw all the attention, while she slips in unnoticed. He promised that if Seon-woo helped, we'll clear your mother's medical debt, arrange the best surgery, and provide full rehabilitation. Seon-woo gave a scornful smile, telling him they were too arrogant, thinking they could buy her with money, and that she would never be anyone's stand-in, especially not for a hit-and-run suspect accused of using banned substances. She stood up to leave.
한지연 씨가 낸 사고가 아닙니다. 그분은 마약이 나는 그런 분이 아닙니다. 오해받아본 적 없습니까? 억울해 본 적 없냐고요? 어릴 때 사고로 부모님이 돌아가시고 방황했던 적은 있지만 지연 씨는 지금 떠도는 소문이나 뉴스와는 전혀 무관한 사람입니다.
Looking troubled, Tae-wong insisted he wasn't trying to bribe her. I just want you to help Ji-yeon reach Seoul quietly so she can prove her innocence at the prosecutor's office and clear her name. There was no denying Tae-wong's skill. He had already investigated Seon-woo thoroughly, and his polished kindness managed to win her trust. Back home, Seon-woo searched for news online and saw countless posts viciously criticizing Ji-yeon. After a night of internal struggle, She agreed to Tae-woong's request but insisted on meeting Ji-yeon in person first. She wanted to see for herself what kind of person she was. Using confidentiality as an excuse, Tae-woong temporarily took her phone and brought her to Jeoju to meet Ji-yeon. The two didn't just look similar, they looked identical. Ji-yeon's face was full of sorrow and exhaustion, but she adamantly refused to use a stand-in to face the media, even as Tae-woong tried to persuade her.
내일까지 출두하지 않으면 검찰에서 강제구인해서 포토라인에 세울 겁니다.
제가 몇 번이나 말해야 돼요? 친구한테 빌려준 거라고 했잖아요, 그 차. 할아버지가 사준 건데 한 번만 타보고 싶다고 해서. 그러니까 그 친구 좀 찾아달라고 했잖아요.
찾고 있습니다. 지난주 유역행 비행기를 탄 것까지 확인했습니다.
유일하게 믿었던 친구였는데 어떻게 나한테 이럴 수가 있어?
They put on a convincing act, and at just the right moment, Ji-yeon had an emotional outburst and fainted, making Se-woo believe she was truly the victim. As someone with a strong sense of justice, Se-woo couldn't stand by and watch a defenseless woman be bullied. Ji-yeon opened up about her family's secrets and the pressures she faced, and Se-woo came to believe she was a glamorous figure who was actually a pawn of the powerful.
내가 그거 해줄게요. 난 지연 씨 잘 모르지만 거짓말할 사람은 아닌 것 같아. 아니라니까! 윤상무가 꾸민 일은 그게 아니라고!
Then Ji-yeon's phone rang. It was Tae-woong. From just a few words, it was clear he was coming to pick her up that evening, while she tried to stop him, saying she'd rather go to jail than follow his plan. Her resistance was clearly useless. Ji-yeon told Se-woo that when Tae-woong arrived at night, she should put on Ji-yeon's clothes, trick the bodyguards, and leave for Seoul before dark. Finally, she revealed the truth. There is no evidence to prove my innocence. Tae-woong's real plan is to find a scapegoat. Once that scapegoat is gone, they'll pin all the crimes on her, claim she was just a fake socialite who resembled me, and make her take the blame for drunk driving and using banned substances. The company will be in the clear, and they'll even gain public sympathy from your death. Hearing the entire plan left Se-woo stunned. She couldn't compete with such twisted scheming. The two switched clothes, and Ji-yeon gave her a bracelet said to be her mother's only keepsake. Se-woo drove away in Ji-yeon's car, her concern for Ji-yeon growing, but she was soon stopped by two motorcyclists who began smashing her windows. They were no match for Se-woo, but she still didn't grasp the true danger and tried to explain they had mistaken her for someone else, holding back her strikes. But the bikers were determined to capture her, and after a fight, they knocked her out. Just as they tried to stuff her into the trunk, two strong men sprang out from inside, quickly knocking the bikers out and driving away with all three captives. Not long after, a man arrived at the scene to report their failure to his boss. This man was Ho Jung, Ji-yeon's half-brother. Ho Jung had grown up in the Han family after his mother remarried, but with no Han bloodline, he always felt inferior to Ji-yeon. Even in a high position, he was still considered an outsider, yet he coveted the inheritance. He had orchestrated the whistleblower video to have Ji-yeon imprisoned, and before that, he wanted her to sign over her shares, which was why he sent the bikers to kidnap her. The men who had taken Se-woo to a hotel were Pan and Construction's cleanup crew. When she woke, she saw two strangers and heard furious knocking at the door. A man looking for his unfaithful wife. One man went to deal with him while the other stayed to guard Se-woo, but the man outside suddenly forced his way in and took both captors down. He then video called someone. He was Ho Jun's backup after the bikers failed. While the men in the trunk were Tae-woong's people, Se-woo desperately explained she wasn't Han Ji-yeon and begged Ho Jung to let her go so she could explain everything. But he was convinced. My sister is the best liar, mocking her to let all your personalities out and saying he'd personally send her to face judgment tomorrow. To make matters worse, the man was greedy. Not only did he force Se-woo to transfer him 200 million won, but he also tried to harm her further. Se-woo opened the window to check outside, grabbed the man's knife for protection, and made her escape. But when she reached the elevator, she ran right into two more thugs coming up. She fled into the stairwell, but because of her height disadvantage, one of the agile men caught up quickly. After taking both men down, she kept running, but unfamiliar with the building, she ended up in a dead-end corridor with the two blocking her escape. She tried explaining again that she wasn't Han Ji-yeon, but in her situation, no one was listening. she took them down, she headed out but saw more people coming up, so she searched for a hiding place and spotted a slightly open door. She slipped into the dark room, not realizing it belonged to Yang Jae, an autistic hotel staff member. Seeing her, Yang Jae screamed in panic, his voice alerting the people climbing the stairs outside. Sean-woo quickly claimed to be a police officer being chased by bad people and begged him to help her contact the authorities. Yang Jae recognized her instantly because when he was a teenager, Sean-woo had been his idol, and that final decisive strike in her last match was, in his eyes, a stroke of genius. It's worth noting the significance of Yang Jae here. When someone is in absolute despair, and suddenly another person tells them, "You're the light in my heart, you're my idol," it's bound to give them a spark of courage. Though small and timid, Yang Jae had the bravery to step forward, and his presence would inevitably influence how Seon-woo acted in the moments to come. Seon-woo never imagined that anyone would still remember the person she used to be, but Yang Jae's shouts had already alerted the pursuers, and another intense fight was about to begin. After already taking down two opponents, Seon-woo was no longer flustered, but to her surprise, the newcomer was also a Taekwondo expert. Physically smaller and already worn out from fighting for so long, she gained no advantage against the man in the suit, who kept her on the defensive. When the suited man saw her knocked down, he became arrogant and underestimated her, giving Seon-woo the opening she needed to turn the tables and win. Then footsteps sounded from downstairs, and Seon-woo quickly pulled Yang Jae under the bed to hide. The intruder looked around the wrecked room, assumed he was too late, and immediately turned back to chase downstairs. Soon after, Taewon received word from the hotel. Ho-jung's men have attacked our people, and now Seon-woo's whereabouts are unknown. Knowing the stairs were no escape, Seon-woo asked Yang Jae if there was a back way out. He led her to the food service lift, and the two squeezed into the cramped space, arriving in the first-floor restaurant. Seeing the empty hotel lobby, Seon-woo took a deep breath and dashed for the exit, only to be stopped by a group of hotel staff.
니들도 한지연 찾냐? 나 한지연 아니라고. 비켜!
야 강선호, 이 조그만 계집애가 온 호텔을 다 해집고 다니네.
It was clear they were Taewon's men and knew exactly who she was. With enemies ahead and behind, Seon-woo had no choice but to fight with everything she had. But even the best technique fails when exhaustion sets in, and as the saying goes, 2 fists can't beat 4 hands. They had the numbers. For strong men pinned her to a table, holding her down, while a man in a leather jacket pulled out a stun gun. Knocked unconscious by the electric shock, Seon-woo was taken back to a room, where the man in leather watched a video released by an overseas blogger, the full footage of Ji-eun's hit-and-run while preparing a syringe of blue liquid. They had no idea that Yang Jae had been to the private room earlier and had quietly woken Seon-woo. Just as the leather-clad man was about to inject her with the blue substance, Seon-woo launched a sudden attack. Using his phone, she finally saw Ji-eun's true face in the video. Ji-eun looked like a cold, ruthless predator, ignoring her friends' pleas as she rammed into pedestrians, hunting them like prey. Led by Yang Jae, Seon-woo fled again, but ran right into Ho-jung at the front door. Forced to retreat to the restaurant, they used the food lift to reach the 5th floor, but it wasn't safe there either. After taking down 2 more men, Seon-woo decided to escape via the rooftop. But this was still Panin Construction's territory. When Ho-jung found no sign of her in the 5th floor kitchen, he and his men took the elevator to the roof. It took Seon-woo some effort to open the rooftop hatch, only to be ambushed by Ho-jung. He tied her to a chair and shoved a share transfer document in front of her, demanding she sign. Realizing he still believed she was Ji-eun, Seon-woo promised, "I'll give you all the assets for free, but only if you take me to the prosecutor's office. I'll sign it once I'm there." This made Ho Jung ecstatic as her brother. He should have noticed she was an imposter, yet he didn't doubt her for a second. For a man who had climbed to the top ranks of the company despite being seen as a burden, with loyal enforcers at his side, Ho Jung's ability was undeniable, but his personal history had driven him to madness, and he didn't care if Sean-woo was real or fake as long as he could send his sister to the prosecutor's office. He would get what he wanted, and he likely had enough evidence to not only destroy her but also bring down the grandfather who wasn't related to him by blood. Unexpectedly, Tae-woong arrived at that very moment. Even though Ho Jung had only one man with him, the lure of power made him fearless, and the two immediately clashed with Tae-woong's man. Ho Jung, frail-looking as he was, still managed to injure several people with sheer ruthlessness. Meanwhile, Sean-woo used a dull knife to saw at the ropes binding her. Ho Jung and his man quickly defeated Tae-woong's subordinates, but neither could stand against Tae-woong himself. Tae-woong told Ho Jung that everything he'd done had already been uncovered, and the old chairman had decided to eliminate him. Ho Jung could only meet his end in fear. Afterward, Tae-woong ordered his men to deal with the remaining hotel staff if they had let Ho Jung's men operate there. It meant they were trying to serve two masters, and he would never allow such disloyalty. With victory in hand, Tae-woong didn't immediately deal with Seon-woo, but instead began a video call with Ji-yeon. During the video call, Ji-yeon bragged to Seon-woo about her plan. They're going to take you to the hotel's secret club, use banned substances to get rid of you, and make it look like Han Ji-yeon overdosed and died. Meanwhile, I'll use your identity to leave the country and start a new life abroad with the trillions of won the chairman has laundered. She added, "This plan only came to me after I saw you. Since I was a child, I've never allowed anyone to wear the same clothes as me, let alone have the same face, so there's no way I'll let you exist in this world." Tae-woong then explained the part of the plan Ji-yeon hadn't mentioned, delivering a thunderbolt to Seon-woo. Her mother had passed away. The film never explains the cause of her mother's death, only showing a single brief shot. Seon-woo had agreed to help Tae-woong because she believed her mother's recovery was possible, which meant she never expected her mother to die so soon. It was highly likely her death was the result of Tae-woong's ruthless methods, but he had overlooked one thing: her mother was not only Seon-woo's dearest attachment, but also the way keeping her inner rage in check. Once a person has no burdens, no ties, and only their own life left, if they escape, they will stop at nothing for revenge. As the saying goes, villains fall because they talk too much. And while Tae-woong was still gloating, Seon-woo cut through the ropes and launched herself at him with everything she had. After knocking him unconscious, Seon-woo didn't rush to leave. Guided by Young Jae, she made her way to the hotel's secret club. A group of Ji-yeon's friends mistook her for Ji-yeon, and Seon-woo used the opportunity to record a video on their phones, confessing to all the crimes under Ji-yeon's name, then sending it to the overseas blogger who had been exposing Ji-yeon. She then drove Tae-woong's car straight to Ji-yeon's villa. Seon-woo didn't send the video to the prosecutor's office but to the same blogger, proof that she was no naive amateur. The overseas blogger was beyond the Han family's control and, seeking traffic, would release the footage bit by bit. This gave Seon-woo valuable time to prepare her next moves. In the face of a massive conspiracy, an individual's power may seem insignificant, but when that individual fights back with everything they have, even the biggest conspiracy will reveal a fatal flaw. From the moment Seon-woo took this step, she already had a bigger plan in mind. Meanwhile, Tae-woong woke up to find the car gone and immediately realized Seon-woo was going after Ji-yeon. At the villa, the bodyguards were no match for Seon-woo. Seon-woo Woo grabbed Ji-yeon and beat her until she looked just as disheveled, then quickly switched their clothes and even took a moment to wash up. When she saw the syringe in Seon-woo's hand, Ji-yeon finally panicked. She knew exactly what would happen if that needle went in. Seon-woo forced Ji-yeon to call the chairman and, following her own script, order him to deal with Tae-wong, promising to let Ji-yeon go afterward.
다 정리됐어요.
그럼 빨리 출발 준비해야지.
돈은?
돈은 윤상무가 잘 어렌지 했으니까 너는 거기 도착하는 대로 받기만 하면 돼.
입막음은 해야 되잖아.
넌 그런 거 신경 쓸 거 없어. 네 할애비가 다 알아서 할 거니까.
At that moment, Tae-wong arrived at the villa. Seon-woo placed the syringe on the table, untied Ji-yeon, and pretended to make a call by the window, secretly watching both Tae-wong and Ji-yeon's every move. As she expected, Ji-yeon went for a sneak attack, aiming to use the syringe on her. Seon-woo easily shoved her aside and staggered toward the door, clutching her waist. Ji-yeon chased her down, tackled her to the ground, and pinned her, ready to strike just as Tae-wong reached the scene. In front of him stood Seon-woo, battered but with her makeup intact, and Ji-yeon, syringe in hand, face twisted with rage, still charging at him after being pushed away. Tae-wong reacted on instinct, knocking Ji-yeon unconscious and injecting her with the entire dose, but an unease crept into his mind, and he had no chance to question Seon-woo, because the people the chairman had sent to collect his granddaughter had already arrived. At the airport, Tae-wong handed Seon-woo a bottle of water and watched her drink it without hesitation, and in that instant, he knew he had made a terrible mistake. Ji-yeon never drank soda water. Tae-wong confronted her, exposing her identity, but Seon-woo only smirked and asked if he dared to tell anyone.
아가씨한테 가는 돈 반반씩 나누기로 합시다.
싫다면?
너도 무사하지 못하겠지.
Tae-wong's face betrayed his fear if the old chairman learned he had killed his real granddaughter by mistake. Not only Ji-yeon's life, but his own survival would be in question. The number of armed men at the hotel had already proven that this chairman had risen through blood and tears, and as one of his top lieutenants, Tae-wong knew exactly how ruthless his boss could be. So he blustered and threatened Seon-woo, demanding money perhaps just to tie their fates together and keep this deadly secret buried forever. Seon-woo, unfazed, simply smiled and told him, goodbye. On the way back, the two bodyguards received the chairman's order and eliminated Tae-wong. Seon-woo boarded her flight and began a brand new life. When truth becomes falsehood and falsehood becomes truth, reality blurs. With her mother gone and Tae-wong erased, there was no one left who could uncover her secret. And that's where the film ends.